Now they can hear us. Sorry.
Hello.
I'm the Scuff Streamer over here. All right, so welcome everybody to the Predcast. This is the show where we talk about everything Predecessor and what the upcoming, the states of the game, how we feel about it, our opinions, community's opinions, our thoughts on how they can fix it, our thoughts on how they're doing great on it, everything from here in between, right? Every little thing we can talk about. So with that, let's introduce ourselves, let everybody know. There you are, yes. Let everybody know who we are, what we're here for, and we'll go from there. So let's go Crashy, then Medkit, and then myself.
Sure. What up, guys? My name's Crashy, competitive player, content creator, now like para-zombie lover, but mostly just Predecessor. Really liking the game, like watching to see where it's going, man. Every patch is a step in the right direction, it seems. So,
yes. Medkit.
What up, everyone? I make Predecessor content, live stream, and I was overall like, I'm happy with the patch. I'm just sad about a certain item. We'll talk about it in a sec, but I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Definitely.
Music is a little loud, huh?
Is it a little loud? All right, I'll turn it down. Sorry. Totally missing it. All right. If you guys can't tell, we are missing our boy Windu. He was unable to make it, not feel under the weather today, so not able to make it. So, bring that. How's that for music?
Oh.
SG, let me know what you think about that. Sorry about the music, guys. Again, I'm not normally the guy that runs it. Our boy Windu, he's the audio guy. So, but all right, myself.
Yep.
Well, man, I'm so out of it right now. It's crazy. I feel like I've been rushing for the last
week.
It's been crazy. All right, but anyways, what's going on, everybody? I'm the Bearded Wolverine, your Michigan Wonder, and excited to get to you. Episode 12. We're almost to a baker's dozen, and we got a good patch to talk about in this one. One that I guess our boy Medkit's a little bummed about, but we'll get farther into that as we get there. Anyways, what are the games like for you guys? Last week we talked about balance patches and 5 stacks. Crash, are you still having that issue with the 5 stacks? Are you not as after that talk? Are we like in a better place, or what's going on?
it definitely. So I need to play more for sure to like get a bigger sample size, but it feels different for sure. I mean, granted, you know, they made a change, and it's just one of those things that I need a little bit of time with. But yeah, it doesn't really feel like I'm running into nearly as many 5 stacks today. I played in a 4 stack earlier, and we actually found stack games. So like that was like, okay, cool. Like we found, I couldn't tell if it was like another 4 stack or like a 3 and a 2, but it felt like relatively even. And then in a lot of my solo games today, they felt like solo games. It didn't feel overly coordinated. That's
okay.
That's a good sign. So far,
that is a good sign.
Feels pretty good. We'll have to see how that, you know, what the trickle down effect is, if anybody else is feeling it, you know, on the lower end, or if the 5 stacks are feeling any kind of a, you know, change. But so far it seems okay.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Sorry guys.
I personally
go ahead. Keep going.
I was gonna say I haven't had too much time to play much, but when I do, it's usually like trios and up. And like for me, it's kind of balanced. Like I do run into 5 stacks, but I also run into like similar trios and 4 stacks, and I'm not really getting any games where I feel like, yo, what the fuck is this? Why am I having this this brand new player, or why do they feel like they're brand new? Or I haven't been able to play this new patch though. I'm excited to see how the MMR or kind of plays out. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, and for clarity, it's not like that they were solving that issue. It was like alleviating the issue, right? Like, you know, they weren't like full splitting it. So I'm expecting that I'm still going to run into them. I just think that it's like, it should be like frequency wise, like it shouldn't be as often, which realistically, like whenever Import came on the show and he said like, yeah, 50% of my games were against stacks. That was a pretty high volume. So if that goes down, that's pretty good. So I guess we'll see, like I said, what it feels like. And today I played a decent amount today. Didn't feel bad. So
okay. I didn't get a chance to play it, so I was really bummed in that situation. I was really hoping I was going to be able to play it, but wasn't able to. So I'm glad to hear that it seems like you're not having that issue as often.
What region are you now? Are you still doing?
I play East and West. I played a little bit of both. Like when I get on in the mornings, it's like way too early for West, so I'll queue East. And then whenever as the day goes on a little bit more, I still tend to play on West. So that actually might be it too. Like I do need to probably put some time on East, like solo, to see what it feels like. But if not, I'm gonna keep playing West. So
well, it is saying in chat that EU top end seems to keep running into stack still. Yeah. And then
hopefully it's not too frequent, but
what's up, Intarth?
And I don't know how to say WFJA besides obviously putting those 4 letters together just like how we did. So said that ran into a 5-stack in solo, but only played 1 game. And a little shrug. I like that little V, capital O V. It makes a little shrug with that. I like that. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it yet, so I'm interested to see what's going on. I do know that it was pretty much just a change in the multiplier, and in the multiplier. So they gave you it's a little stack multiplier. So basically it boosts your stacks elo to go up against a higher elo bracket. So they lowered that so like you're not getting boosted as hard. So then you're not gonna face all those stacks that are like so for you, Crashy, you're not gonna face the the gold and below stacks as often. You'll still hit the gold stacks, but you're not going to hit them as often. The silver stacks, or you're really going to seldomly see them probably, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. That's going to benefit me, where I'm at. That's going to make it better for me. Cause like I've been going against stacks that are just like, or people that are, just people that are out of my league per se, as I've been stacking and playing viewer games. So it's going to make my viewer games more winnable in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to say more fun because I still have fun playing my viewers no matter what I do. So, I was just playing last night. I mean, it wasn't a viewer in a sense. I was playing with Mangoose. We're just doing it up and having a good time. We lost like our first 3 matches and we just but we were having a blast doing it, So it's like having a good old time. So it don't matter. But yeah, so that's good to know. Axel, Jungle King Crashy, we are not worthy. That's true, we're not worthy, but somehow we got him to be here. So
hell yeah. Patch, man.
Let's jump into the patch. Switch over scenes here and kind of go over what we got. So it says, hey all, time for another balance update. In this patch, we're continuing our work improving mages and their itemization, along with reducing their viability of mages, running tank items. We're also tuning some tanks and assassins and looking to give Revenant some post-release love. We're also slightly increasing the length of the early game by bumping up the health and mana per level that all heroes receive early on, but reducing their amount they receive later. Towers are also getting a slight durability boost in the first part of the game to lengthen the laning phase a bit. So what's next? In addition to our usual monitoring of feedback and data from the patch, as well as our upcoming release of certain Popstar, our eyes are now fixed on the carry role as the focus for our 0.4, and on beyond patches. Balance update where we will be looking to vastly improve their itemization and build paths. This has been pushed back due to a ton of new features being implemented in patch 0.4 in a few weeks. Demonde Jr. Game Designer. All right, before we go any farther, what were your guys' thoughts when you read that little passage?
I knew you were going to be happy.
Yes, I am very happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited at the thought of Revenant getting some changes, although I didn't know what they were going to be until we got our eyes on them. And then oh yeah, let's try to hit the tank mage build. So that's pretty interesting stuff. I will say, like we'll touch on carry items later. That to me is just like, damn it, I have to deal with Sky Splitter longer. Which I genuinely think Sky Splitter is like the most broken item in the game, or like it's really, really up there. But it's not like ruining the game, right? Like it's not a big deal. It's just it's become a very, very strong meta option. So I'll be excited to eventually see when they do like a pass at all the carry items to see what they have in mind for it. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. First part, the mage tank, when I read that, I was all about it. I'm like, all right, sweet, let's get that out of there because that was kind of a nuisance. But like lengthening the early game and working on the laning phase and the towers, that whole paragraph, that whole part of that was perfect in my opinion. I'm all about lengthening laning phase. I'm all about working on the early game, and I'm all about the towers hitting harder as themselves. Like I completely agree with that. I don't know, that's just because I'm an ADC main, and that's kind of like where my my bread and butter is at. But I don't know. I love it. That whole spot, perfect for me. And then even farther, we're talking about how we're just like literally point 4. We're gonna focus on carries. All about it. And I do agree with you that Sky Splitter is up there. And I do believe that I work on the itemization. I'm hoping that it's going to be like we're going to break some of these items up and just give us more items. Like, well, let's cut them in half. Like, all right, let's take Sky Splitter and make it 2 items. Like, we'll give this and this and make it these 2 items. I think they have that perfect ability, and what that just means for them though is amazing. Like, I think it's great because the fact that like. Comparing the 2 games, like in just the items situation, you got PTO and you got Pred, right? If you go to PTO and you're playing carry, you only got like a group of like 8 items maybe to build from, right? You come here and you literally can just build any different thing you want. Like you just pick 2. That's kind of what I do sometimes when I stream. Like I'm gonna pick attack speed crit. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a attack speed crit carry, crit build today, or I'm gonna do a crit pen build. Or I'm going to do a pen attack speed or whatever. You just grab 2 things. You could do that. You can't do that in PTO. You only have like 3 attack speed items. Like if you only have 3 attack speed items and one of them doesn't really count for you, like you can't build it. Yeah. Everything attack speed or lifesteal. What I meant.
So you like itemization for ADCs in this game better than OP?
Oh yes, definitely by far. And
do you use that icon, by the way, when you're trying to look for items in the shop
on the left?
Do you know what I'm talking about? When you hit when you open the shop and hit all items, and then there's like this little bow icon underneath the search bar. If you click on that, then all the ADC items will be right there in front of you. You don't have to type.
Oh no, I literally just click the 2 things that I want to look at. Like I said, if I want to do like crit attack speed, I just click on crit and click on attack speed and just filters. Like it gives me everything that's going to have those 2 things in it, and that's just kind of what I go from there. Because like I don't want it to be just. That's another thing I like about the items is it doesn't have to be just. You don't have to build like Mutilator isn't an ADC item, but you can use it as an ADC. Mind Razor I wouldn't say is an ADC item either, but it works on ADCs. I don't know if it should work on ADCs. That might be something that needs to get looked at, but like Mind Razor does work on ADCs, so I enjoy that as well on a carry. So I like to build a little bit off, or just kind of like hey, this looks good, this sounds good, so I don't build just per carries. I just kind of grab the 2 main things I want to build and go from there. Black Tim's has some spicy thoughts on itemizations. Black Tim's has spicy thoughts on a lot of things. I know Black Tim's from Fault, so he's got some spicy, nothing against him. He's just got some spicy thoughts on a lot of things. Joker! Black Tim's, in Fault, he was a solo main, but he also was starting to play the carry role more. So, I can't really say.
All
right, switching back.
So...
In Fault, he was a Chimera solo 1-trick. All right, balance changes. I guess I should have switched scenes so you could see us talking the whole time. My bad, guys. Forgive me. Matchmaking improvements. This is all you, Crashy. We've heard your feedback regarding matchmaking and the changes we made in patch version 0.3. With that in mind, we're looking to make further adjustments. It's clear we overshot a bit on the party modifier. It's too aggressive, and also had a larger impact on the top end of our MMR brackets than desired. Matchmaking is a complicated beast, and we were bound to slip up sooner or later. We appreciate your patience and feedback when we miss the mark like this, and hope the following changes improve the experience for all players. We've tightened matchmaking search parameters. Our goal is always to increase match quality, though this change may also lead to slightly longer matchmaking times. In addition, full parties of experienced players will have longer queue times, but should allow more time for the system to find the most fair matchup. We will be monitoring these changes closely. We've reduced the impact of the party modifier, hopefully leading to a better quality matches across the majority of the player base. We'll continue to monitor this change. All right. Thoughts on that, guys?
The funny thing about this is I think this is obviously going in the right direction. And like I said, I'll give more thoughts on it later. Like if it still feels like half my matches are 5 stacks, I'll probably complain. I don't think that's not my hypothesis. The funny thing is that I don't even think like more than like half the player base will even notice anything at all. Like most people are just not going to notice anything. We might notice like slightly longer queue times, and that'll probably be it. But like most people aren't going to really feel the difference in their matches. I'll probably feel it more than anything because it's just like I'm going to not be facing like people that I know they're stacked. But I think that it like is a nice change overall. And it's good because they're like listening, and they also know the implications of what sliding that lever does for them, right? Like they like Import said, like I knew what was going to happen when I did that. You know what I mean? And so, you know, it's good. It's a good change. They're adapting, right? That's really all it is. It's just adapting to the changes that they've made and stuff. So yeah, just keep giving them that feedback, and if they need to adjust it more or less or whatever, that's what they'll do. What
I like about it is that second little paragraph, little passage part of it is they admit they made a mistake. Like that right there, like that alone. It's like, it's not like, hey, they can easily say like, hey, we're just making adjustments. It is what it is. Like, but like we overshot. Yeah. This is on us. Like, and they admitted that. Like that right there says a lot, I think. It just kind of lets you know we're humans. We made a mistake, and here we are, and we're gonna correct that. And let us know. We want your feedback. And they're continuing to monitor it. Like that's something I've noticed with every one of their patches is they use the word feedback and monitoring so often.
And community.
And community. It's like I love the fact that they truly want the feedback. So the more you can give them the feedback, the better they'll be. I'm all about it. But as it comes to it though, like again, we were talking about the party modifier. That right there is going to be huge. For us, for me and Wendy, we do our viewer games. Can be better for you when you do your solo queue games in the higher end, those top 1%ers. But matchmaking itself, they already made that, the queues are gonna be a little bit longer. But something that was said on For the Minions, shout out to that crew. They were talking about how we have one of the communities that we can handle. It's not like our queue times are that high anyways. So we have this tight knit community that like is like we're pro pred, that we can be like, we'll sit here and we'll go for another minute and a half, 2 minutes longer in a queue and be okay with it. Like we're not hurting that hard. So definitely okay with me.
Yeah, like I will say I did notice that my queues were a little longer today, but I mean I'm talking like you toss on like a minute or two to my normal queues. And also when I'm queuing, I'm like watching a stream or something, or I have like a video up, or I'm listening to music. So a lot of the time I'm just like queuing because it's just the thing you do until you play. So it's like for me, I never even noticed like long queue times. So I've always been that person that's like, yeah, I'll wait a little bit longer for a better match, or like I'll wait if it means the system is better and healthier for everybody, then yeah, I'm down to wait a little bit longer. Definitely didn't feel like doesn't feel like a problem to me.
Yep. Medkit?
Yeah, I got no comments. I haven't even tried it yet. I literally just got home for
all right
for this episode.
Gotcha. All right, moving on then. Hero changes. Continue on from above. We're increasing fountain regen to help players get back into the action quicker.
I forgot about that one.
Also, due to item changes from some heroes, give me 1 second. Recommended items have been updated to reflect recent changes. So that's health and mana regeneration at base increased from 12.5% per second to 18% per second. Various hero recommended items are updated. All right, what were you going to say, Medkit?
So the first part, health and mana regen and base.
Yep.
I love that because that was one of my most hated things of Paragon.
Mm-hmm.
That shit goes up so slow. It's like 100 health per second. Like, bro, heal me already. I need to get back out there.
Yeah.
I'm so glad Pred does percentage and a good chunk too.
Oh, you got to do percentage. You can't do certain because tanks get screwed if you don't do percentage.
Right.
Yep.
Paragon maybe didn't do flat. Maybe it did 2%, but it was just so slow. But
yeah, I forgot about this change, and it didn't. It's funny because a lot of the times I actually don't even know how much of a literal difference it's going to make. It is going to make a difference over the long haul of games. But a lot of the time when I base, I'm like basing and like I'm waiting for like 20 man or like 20 gold anyways, or I'm like basing and I'm like quickly shuffling my shop around. So like there's probably some overlap where like the timing from when I actually hit the base and when I leave is about the same. But in some situations where it's like a quick base, you can go. Or the other cool thing about this one too is like, let's say you hit a quick base and you like say you have to get back out to Fangtooth or Prime, it's going to heal you faster. So you might not even need to heal all the way to full. You can just take like the quick burst of healing, get up to like 75, 80%, and then like bolt out the door. Because that may be, really, really niche scenario where that might happen, but you never know.
Sorry, so Hobo asked, what does the sign say? So I went to Dick's Last Resort in Tennessee, and this is the hat that they gave me. So I thought it was hilarious. So it sits here. So there you go. So if you don't know, it's supposed to be nuts. So.
That's funny.
But yeah. Cooch better. Yes, there you go. All right. Yeah, no, I think it's a great move. I did think it was too slow. Again, I'm not as well versed in the MOBA genre as some of the people. Like we have Import and Crashy come in here. I haven't played all of them. I just know the ones that I have played, and I felt like this one was slower regen time than the ones that I have played. Fault had a time where they did drop it. They did slow it down a little bit, and it was like too much, and people are like, nope. So they brought it back a little bit. They sped it up a little bit more. So yeah, I'm all about this. I can't wait to get in game and actually see how fast it actually is, because it definitely is on the slower end.
Yeah, I played all day today and I forgot about this. So like I really didn't even like notice it, but I mean it's there, right? Like I just didn't consider it.
Well, that's good, because I don't want it to be crazy like, all right, you didn't, like, I didn't even touch base. It was already I'm already healthy, like we're good to go. Like I wanted to, you gotta have some kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? You gotta have some kind of risk reward situation. If you're out there just like losing your health and you have to go back to base, then you should spend a little bit of time doing it. So, but it shouldn't be something that you're spending forever on. All right, S factor. A hero's S factor is their scalar. This determines how much of their stats they get from their growth. A hero with a larger S factor will get more of their growth stats earlier in the game. On average, the changes made with this patch will create less variance in per level stats and increase the amount of stats heroes are receiving in the early game. This will affect health and mana the most, meaning time to kill should rise a little bit in the early game stages. Hero S factors compressed and increased. What are you guys' thoughts on this one?
That's the first time I'm hearing about S factors.
I've never heard of it like put this way. So that's I'd say that's new to me in terms of terminology, but it's another one of those things that I just haven't like really felt like I noticed. Maybe people died a little less in the early game because they're like, they're like scaled up a little bit more. But it's like, these are some of those changes that like the devs can see what the implications are, but it's like, it's a little bit harder for like me to see it, like without giving some time. Yeah. Like I might give me like a day and I might be like, you know what, now that I think about it, First Blood isn't happening, when I'm in the middle of my second camp, or it doesn't happen always on the first gank. Like I may notice it over some time, but like right now, I can't even fathom what this change has done other than just reading it like at face value, literally. So I can't really tell, but
yep.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying about it being something you never. It's a different name. So it's almost like when League of Legends brought in Elo, but you just had other games had MMR, right? So this one, I think this is just if I understand it correctly, and let me know if I'm wrong with this, if you guys do know the answer. I just feel like this is their scaling, right? So literally how they scale, like you have that percentage, like, hey, the RMB scale 80%, whatever, physical power, is that so what it is. But then we're talking about health and mana. Let's say their health is 85, but it's also +5 every hero level. That's their scaling, right?
It sounds like just level scaling to me, which is, I mean, if that's just the terminology they're using for it, I think that's fine.
Perfectly fine.
And yeah, I agree with SG in chat. It seems like they're just trying to slow down some of the snowballing early, which because if you get a first blood super, super fast, then you can carry that into a second blood. And it's like, okay, the game's really starting to move. And we'll see some of that. Or we can kind of touch on this again whenever we see the Kallari changes, because they slow her down a little bit this patch, just early on. And again, I played Kallari today. I barely even noticed it, but it's the same thing, right? It's like these small changes that kind of just slow things down just a little bit, to hopefully, keep the game a little bit more fair and in line, and not so reliant on getting those first couple of kills or whatever.
Yeah, and I do think that the time to kill is a little fast. Because when you're looking at this game, there's a bunch of objectives and a bunch of things you're supposed to be doing in this game, right? But the team fights are a big part of this game, and that's kind of where a lot of that action comes from. And if your time to kill is really fast, then you get this huge. It's like my sex life. You get this huge build up for a quick climax. It's like, well, we did all that for that. What's the point? And you kind of want that to last a little bit longer. So if you can get that to work better, I think a longer time to kill is definitely a better situation here.
Yeah, longer time to kill means more combat readability, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I had one last night. I was Murdock, and I got pulled by a Riktor, and I feel like he killed. It was a one shot with the pull. My stats, I hit R to bring up my stats, and it wouldn't work. So I'm like, well, I wanted to read it. I'm like, how did I die? Because I literally felt like I died on the pull, and I was full health. I'm like, what the hell happened?
You can't make the joke you just made and then go, well, yeah, last night. I had one last night. Really, really fast. Pretty disappointed with myself.
Hey, now you just got to know if I'm talking about the video game or what's something else is going on. So
it is what it is.
I don't know how think that's a weird flex. I don't think that's really flexing at all. It's the opposite of flexing. I don't know what that means, but yeah, no, it's so I would love to. I don't know if that's a bug or not. If ours is not working, I didn't look that far into it because I was just a little annoyed at that time. So, but yeah, moving on.
Countess.
Everybody's lovable Countess.
Overall, she's healing a little less. And It looks like Eventide is adjusted so that
I would say now TOS won't win a tournament because they nerf Countess, so we're good.
I think she's stronger.
I'm just kidding. So
yeah,
all right. Here we're looking at the stop tank Countess abuse case that was causing her to become a near unkillable force. This should return her to being the high damage squishy burst mage that she is. All right, her blood tithe magical lifesteal per stack decreased from 2% to 1.5%. And that's the stacks, right? Yeah. So she was at 10 stacks. So that's 20. So you're looking at 15% now.
15% now, yeah.
Instead of 20%. All right. Blade Siphon RB base healing per target decreased from 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Healing scaling increased from 5% to 6%, and her Eventide. Dark Tide, I hate that name. Change it back, please.
I know, right?
Base damage decreased from 80, 130, 180, 230, 280 to 80, 145, 170, 215, 260. Scaling increased from 70% to 75%. Why do you think she's stronger now?
Okay, so Tank Countess still feels okay, but I don't think it's going to be meta. I think Burst Countess just got buffed to shit because they scaled her up, but they also just buffed a bunch of items. So if they wanted, in my mind, if they wanted to deal with Countess, you like nerf her healing and don't change anything else. But they like nerfed her healing and they're trying to compensate for it. But it's almost like they forgot that they're also simultaneously buffing items. So like she is crazy bursty now. Like she's squishier, so that's good, right? You're not like facing a tank, but like,
I think that's just mages in general, though. It's literally they're.
It is, but I think my fear with Countess is that she's so untradeable at times. Like she just dashes in on you, QEs, and then E right mouse buttons, and then boom, and like 75% of your health is gone. And I might be speaking way too early, but just from the like handful of games I've played, yeah, I'm like, I think she might actually be like, I think this might be a net buff to her. It's a different way of playing her because she's not going to be tanky anymore. But I think this is feeling like a net buff to me right now.
Guess I don't want.
I don't
because you put the word net there. I understand it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think it's more I just want to, instead of being a buff, I just want to say it's a balance. It's literally putting her where she needs to be now, instead of it being where she was. Because I would think that her not being tanky and doing the damage she was doing, and her just going back to being what she's supposed to be, I think that's just kind of like, hey, here you go. Hey, quit playing with the cats. You're over here with the dogs. That's where you're supposed to be.
It feels thematically. It feels thematically correct. I just think it's like now it's thematically correct, but it's overtuned.
Right.
And I'm speaking early on purpose. Like take this with a grain of salt. I've played against her in a handful of matches already. Sanji's been playing her, and it's like it's already just feeling like, hey, it's Countess as usual kind of thing. Like we'll see what it feels like. At least like I said, at least she's not tanky as shit. So we'll see. Good old Feng Mao.
Yes, Feng Mao. Feng Mao has been seeing slightly too much success with bruiser builds, so we're shifting some of the power scaling from his ultimate into penetration. This will help retain the strength of his execute and reset playmaking capabilities with assassin builds, all whilst keeping his bruiser builds in check. General bug fix. Fix an issue where Feng Mao's passive stated it had a physical power scaling. And Earth Shatter, his ultimate, physical power scaling decreased from 80 to 70%. Execute physical power scaling decreased from 100% to 80%. And his execute physical penetration scaling decreased from 250% to 350%.
He's supposed to be if the devs want him to be an assassin, then like an assassin move him away from bruiser like he was in Paragon, then I think they did a good job here then.
I still think he's bad, but like we'll see. This is definitely better because you can build pen items. So it's funny, like the physical power scaling decreased and the physical power like execute scaling decreased. Those numbers, like they don't actually matter because like if you're buying, like let's just take a pen item, let's say Pain Weaver. Well, Pain Weaver has like X amount of power and X amount of pen.
Right. Well,
the damage is just like it's like a net buff because the pen scaling is going up so much. So it's like they're just like accounting for that. So his ult like undeniably hits harder if you're building the right items with him. I just don't think that's going to be enough to like impact his place in the meta.
If you build more pen on him now, that'll give him more move speed on his Q, and they'll give him a bigger execute threshold on his R now.
Yeah, he's definitely it's the same thing with Countess. They're definitely niching him in the right direction. I don't know balance wise if it's going to feel good yet, but yeah. I don't know who was playing Bruiser Feng Mao with success. I think that's more of like a data driven thing. Like a lot of people were building him Bruiser.
Yeah.
There was probably data showing that he was winning like that, but I don't think anybody was playing Bruiser.
I think
there's a reason Feng Mao can't be like too good to like if we slightly even if we slightly buff Feng Mao, there's two players that I know and Intarth knows that will absolutely destroy everyone with Feng Mao. One of them is Demande, the other one is Guileless.
That last name I don't know who you even said. Like I don't recognize that name at all.
Guileless.
He's EU, I believe. He's like one of the best Feng Mao players I've ever seen. Him and Demande.
So all right, so again to somewhat paraphrase the For the Minions crew, especially Jelly D's, like I think, and to you, what you were talking about, you said you don't know who's doing well with him as a bruiser. I think it's built into his kit. Like, and that's where like you need to figure out. Even WFJA here says, I wish Bruiser Fang was better. Like, is he supposed to be an assassin? Is he supposed to be a bruiser? Which one is he supposed to be? Right? Are we putting him more into a niche an assassin, or is he a bruiser? Because everything in his kit says he's a bruiser.
If the devs say assassin, it's assassin.
So then his kit needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Well, that's why his. I mean, I don't know if the kit needs. to be changed.
Not kit needs to be changed, but sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Crashy.
We both said the same thing.
He does have like a. So like I've said this 100 times already. I sound like a broken record, but the assassins in this game have a very similar playstyle. So there's 3 right
I
now.
agree,
There's Kallari, Countess, and Feng Mao. And what do they all do? That one thing, that one similar playstyle that they have in common. They're able to maneuver around effectively. Like they find their target, they engage on that target, burst them down, and then they have a way of disengaging, just like how an assassin should be played. That kind of playstyle. Kallari has multiple ways of engaging, right? And a couple ways to disengage. She got the triple dump. She has the Q, the R, right? Countess has the Shadow Slip recast, and Feng Mao has the one where he dashes in, and then if he hits somebody or does damage, I think at all to heroes or just units with his hamstring, then he gets a reduced cooldown on his reaping dash. So that's his engage if he's successful. In imagine a Feng Mao.
A reduced cooldown you can't count that as a disengage though, because that's just a reduced cooldown. So now you're just sitting there, you gotta dance and dodge until the cooldown's finally finished to be able to, now I can escape. Like Countess and Kallari can literally go in and out whenever they want. They choose it. Like bam, I'm good. Bam, bam.
They both stay there and use
their kit
for like at least a second, right?
Right.
So does
but you use your kit. Yeah. But then after they use their kit, they're able to easily leave. Feng Mao now has to wait for the cooldown to finish to him to leave. With what you're saying, you might as well just say Gideon's an assassin too.
I think it'd be really interesting. I wonder how broken it would be if on kill it just reset the cooldown of his dash or takedown. I don't even want to say kill. Like during an enemy takedown, if his dash just got reset.
Maybe.
Because I know that the ult does that obviously with the chain executes, but because that is the problem, right? Like you kind of get in, you spin, you auto attack, reset, or put your shield on, and then you're just kind of there. And then
that's why you need to go Nex and not Witchcraft. Witch Stalker. You need to go Nex.
Yeah, but then if you go Nex, then you get CC'd to shit. So it's like it's
at that point. At that point, it's a positioning thing. Like if you're able to read what's going on, like whoever has the CC, if you keep a close eye, if they use it, and then you go in, because Assassin is very a very expert playstyle. I feel like it's more than a bruiser in my opinion. But that's why I say that if you go Witch Stalker on Feng Mao, you lose out in the late game. Everyone's gonna be let's say everyone is level 18. You just don't have enough damage to burst the squishy target down. Nex will allow you to do that, and he doesn't do it as effectively as Kallari, since Nex the build-up damage is reduced with AoE attacks. Hamstring, right? It's an AoE, so it doesn't build up as much. But Nex is like that. It's like a mini ultimate if you think about it that way. It's another tool in your arsenal that'll help you burst that target in the middle of your playstyle. If that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know. My opinion of him is rough, because in any situation where I could have an assassin that could execute like that, I would just rather have a fighter that doesn't even have to. Someone that's going to be able to just get in there, stay in there, do great damage, and bring CC, and then doesn't have to worry about being squishy and coming in at angles and be worried about CCing themselves as much. It's a tough role. Because even Kallari, in the late game, he obviously does a little better than Feng Mao, but Feng Mao just feels very.
It's a unique
I
playstyle,
completely
right?
agree. Feng Mao should be a fighter or assassin, but not a bruiser, 100%. And I feel like that's where this identity crisis. What you said earlier, he's got the same identity crisis he had in Paragon. That needs to be figured out. Now, what you were saying earlier, Crash, you talked about how maybe having kind of a reset on his dash with a takedown or whatever. That's something that they had in Fault, and I think his numbers need to be tweaked. It was possible; it was there. His ultimate and his dash had resets on takedowns. So
Bearded. Sylphin once said that he stole the Fang ultimate recast idea from Pred. He said it himself. He was in a game with Ray and he was like typing it like, I need to fess up. I stole the idea from Pred.
All right. So anyways, so with that, with the reset, it was just his numbers were just too high. Like he literally was overpowered. So like as long as that balancing gets figured out, I'm okay with that happening. But that was one of the things I was saying that you needed to take away from him. You know, that was the easiest thing for me as a non-dev that would be able to obviously make him more balanced. But if you could balance him and have him still be the assassin that he is or the fighter that he needs to be, then I'm okay with it. But like, something needs to happen because he's definitely got the identity crisis. Override says they can make his Q have a lower CD cooldown or stack damage every time he hits something with it for a few seconds.
Anytime I think of like concept ideas, I always just think like there's more than one way to skin a cat. Like I could probably think of like 5 ways to buff him. Some would be good in the form of buffing him towards a fighter identity. Some would be good in buffing him towards an assassin identity. I think it really just matters. It just depends on what they want to do with it. But I do think for now, he definitely feels still a little underwhelming.
Yep, I agree. Okay, I think they need to shift his kit to one of the rules. He just doesn't feel like he does any. Yep. I agree. All right. On to the next one. All right. Faye. Boxing with Faye's trading pattern was a tad too difficult. So this patch, she's getting a scaling increase to bring her in line with other mages. General base health increase from 560 to 590, and Bramble patch, her Q, scaling increase from 55% to 60%. All right.
You guys play Faye?
No.
A little bit, very little.
What ability do you guys go first when you do play her?
Or start her?
Yeah, level 1.
Like level 1? Usually the E.
E?
Yeah, I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's right.
I'm more of a Team R&B guy.
I've played her like a total of like 12 times probably.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's like
by the
14 more times than me.
Yeah.
One thing you guys that are watching may not know this, but her E, right, is a single target projectile. That ability draws aggro. And it applies to other single target projectiles as well, like Narbash's Thunk. What else is there? So these kind of abilities draw aggro, just FYI.
All right. And it answers your question there, Medkit. Gideon has been able to ignore building too much mana early game, often opting instead into the higher durability builds with the little trade-off. We're increasing his cost a bit on his main damage and mobility to incentivize a little more mana in his item builds, or to force more careful play when utilizing the magical bruiser itemization. We're also increasing his scaling a bit, like we've done with Faye, just to make sure he can compete in the later stages of the game. Cosmic Rift is Q. Scaling increased from 65 to 70. Mana cost increased from 80, 85, 90, 95, 100 to 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Torn Space is E. Mana cost increased from 60 to 80. All right, so it's going to cost you a little bit more to throw those rocks at my face, so aim better.
Yeah, I've been wanting to ask this question. I'm curious what everybody thinks about the way that they do mages and mana, because I don't know if y'all noticed, there's not actually any mage items that have mana regen. It's like mages are, you can build more mana to have as a resource, and then you play around river buffs. But there's not really any way to have mana regen, which I think is like pretty interesting for a MOBA. I don't hate it. I just think it really emphasizes the like mini game of playing for river buffs. But I was just kind of curious about some opinions on that, because it's definitely different than like itemization from other MOBAs that I'm used to, where it's like, yeah, you definitely have like power items or magic items that are structured around giving you regen, whereas in this game you're basically forced to build mana and then play the river buffs.
I guess the old version of Timewarp gave you mana regen. You build into Essence Ring, which gives you a ton of mana regen, and
yeah, like, but the irony is that the other Time Warp wasn't really being built on mages, as far as I know. Not really.
Right.
Yeah.
See, exactly. Like, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, support items are where all the
and if you're a mage and you build Time Warp, like, I don't. Do you agree with me, Crashy? You kind of lose out on a little bit of power for like cooldowns and mana regen.
If you're a mage that builds Time Warp now,
like, let's say you build it second night.
No, before. I think you meant before.
Like compare this to Combustion and Megacosm or whatever. Azure Core and Megacosm versus Megacosm and Time Warp. Like,
well, it's funny. That's the trade-off with support items.
Yeah,
you look at them,
that's your choice too. You choose to build that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's terrible. I just think it's really, really interesting that like mage items in this game specifically are flat mana, like no mana regen. But I think it's also structured around the fact that there are these river buffs that you like. They are very important. You need to be there on time. Like, you need to have your jungler there on time. You need to rotate your support there on time. Like, it's very, very important. So
I guess
I'm kind of cool with it. I was just curious, like, what a lot of people were thinking about it.
There is what do you call it? There is Caustica. Mm-hmm. At some point, if you like, let's say you build a third item, you kind of don't even have to go back to base. Especially if you're Countess. You heal, Azure mana.
Core is huge. Like, Azure Core getting buffed, and we're going to scroll over that in a little bit, but I think most mages, there's like no reason not to build Azure Core at this point. Like, it's probably...
That's a really good item.
It's like slot one for probably
very,
most
very
mages
strong
right
item.
Mm-hmm. I'm as an ADC. I play ADC solo lane, and mid is like my least favorite role to play. So like I can't put any input in on this. Have you ever been
rolled by an enemy mid laner rotating to your lane and rolling you with Time Warp?
I don't know. I just know that when Faye comes over and ults me, I'm instantly dead because Faye's ult is insanely strong.
She's a...
I do know that. Righty, on to Howie. As with other heroes, we're increasing Howitzer scaling a bit to ensure that he can keep up. All right, you slow mech. General, bug fixed an issue where Howitzer's slow grenades, RMB, description was displaying the incorrect amount of bombs. And his R2000 missile, his Q, scaling increased from 70% to 75%. Mm-hmm. All right.
That's crazy. Like, how he's such a good mage. There's a lot of skill expression in his kit. I don't know.
I don't think they took skill expression away.
No, just scaling him up. It's like this is definitely like a mage love patch. Which I don't. So far, I don't hate it. Like it. I want mages to feel bursty and not tanky. I don't think that they've like nailed perfect balance on all the mages, but when I look at the mage roster right now, and this is the way I felt before tank mage builds started taking over last patch, all the mages are just good. And as long as you don't have like some outlier builds like tank Countess that happened, as long as you don't have something like that pops up, it kind of is the same thing. Like, you look at all the mages and you're like, yeah, they're all good. They all do their thing. And honestly, maybe even Belica too. And I'm not much of a Belica believer, but she's starting to become stronger and stronger, and I'm starting to believe more and more on her. So
I can't wait, man. Belica's like one of my all-time favorites.
Not mine. All right. So yeah, this is just to, like I said, it's literally like what they said in the little description. This is just we're raising all the mages up. We're gonna do this just to make sure he raises up as well, and he's not gonna be sitting there on the floor because we boosted everybody else. So just a little boost to him, and a bug fix. So bug fixes are always great. Kallari. All right. Kallari's first clear has been infamous for its speed and how quickly she can come online. We're looking at you, Crashy. All right. Oh, sorry. We're looking to slow it down a bit, as well as slightly decrease her dagger scaling to tackle her tendency to snowball. Her death mark was also functioning incorrectly, is also getting fixed, and her core item, Malady, is being targeted a bit to make her feel a little more fair fight in normal matches. General, basic attack speed increased from 120 to 110. Attack speed growth decreased from 3.3 to 2.8. Bug fix a bug causing Deathmark to scale with 5.5% of your physical power instead of 3% of your physical power. Crippling Dagger, her RMB, scaling decreased from 90% to 85%. As a Kallari hater, I fucking love this. Thank you so much. Pred, you guys are amazing. Keep it up. I'm hoping to see it again on the next one.
It's so funny. This is another one of those changes that I like. I don't really feel it all that much, but I did feel it early in a game today. I did a single red clear, ganked off lane, got a kill in off lane, and it was like a trade. It's like I killed their offlaner killed my offlaner, and so I was managing the wave for my offlaner. I was going to push the wave into his tower, and I was attacking so slow. I felt it. I was like, oh man, I was like, this is that change. I actually don't think this crushes Kallari's viability. I think a lot of Kallari's viability is already kind of hindered just from the whole assassin playstyle and how well you can do that at a high level. But yeah, Kallari feels fine. I think that this is to kind of combat some of that really, really early snowballing, and that on top of some of the other changes they made is probably pretty healthy. So this feels okay to me. I'm not concerned. It seems fair and fun.
It's the only problem is I don't have the money to pay them. I just I just give them sweet nothings and whisper sweet nothings in their ears and stuff like that. That's kind of their payment that they're taking from me right now. But yeah, Kallari is my least favorite hero. But I will say that Predecessor's version of Kallari is my favorite Kallari, because I at least then have that initial when she's in my AoE, I now can have a little more time to react. She's not just unloading her kit on me instantly. I hated that. I literally fucking hated that in the other versions. But yeah, I'm all about this. She was a little strong. She did snowball really quick. I've seen a bunch of Kallaris in the game that were just saying, hey, look, I'm 44. There was somebody in the Discord, on the Facebook page, won 44 and something on her. And I'm like, you just don't know how to end a game, apparently, and you were just using it to keep winning. But it is whatever. But yeah, they literally, their numbers are just fucking huge. I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm
gonna do a thing. Was it a person named Mewtwo?
I don't know. I would have to go back to the Facebook page.
I ran into a Kallari player named Mewtwo twice today. Yeah, his name was Mewtwo.
Like the Pokemon?
Yeah, like the Pokemon.
Oh.
I ran into this player twice today, and this guy, he was really good at Kallari. I'm gonna put that out there. He was really good at Kallari. He also claims to be the best Kallari in the world, but that's besides the point. That he just kept typing that over and over. Mm-hmm, but he was really good. He was so anti doing objectives and closing out the game. It was crazy. It was like you could tell he was not trying to end the game. He just wanted to drive that kill count. And there was a point in the game where he was like, "Okay, I'll close it out now." I was like, "Dude, thank you." I was like off lane Riktor, doing fang tooths, and he was just hard engaging, and I was just like, dude, this guy, he was having a ball though. I give it to him. Shout outs to Mewtwo if you're out there living your best Kallari life right now. It was a little frustrating though.
See, now the thing is, the name doesn't come up because they took a picture of the
okay,
curious, the what's the word I'm looking for, the screen that showed the stat screen. They took a picture of the stat screen. They 44, 7 and 7 as the Kallari.
When I'm playing games,
the game was won 73 to 34. I'm like, how do you not close that game out earlier? Like that game should have been done.
Yeah.
Like, well, there's no reason for that.
It's a choice to not close that game out.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a choice.
So,
that's crazy.
That's on the Predecessor Facebook page. For those of you that are on there, there's a bunch of people in the community that are there. So look it up. I don't know who it's run by. It is not run by Omeda, so it's not an official thing. Okay, so don't go in there thinking that you're going to see the devs in there talking to them. That's not what I'm saying. But the community's there, and we got a good community here. So on to the next one. All right. After this, Crash is going to be a Lieutenant Belica. Belica is needing a bit of a boost, so we wanted to give her a little more oomph in her core loop. We're giving her a little love by increasing the uptime of her stun to benefit both support and mid, whilst also increasing her base damage on Void Drone to help her keep up with other mages in the earlier stages of the game. As with her other mages, she's also getting some handy scaling increases too. Seismic Assault, her Q. Scaling increased from 65% to 70%. Cooldown decreased from 16, 15.5, 15, 14.5, 14 to 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. Void Drone, her E. Scaling increased from 20% to 30%. And her Void Bomb, her RMB, base damage increased from 80, 125, 170, 215, 260 to 80, 130, 180, 230, 280.
Lieutenant Buftica.
Yeah, right. Void Drone. I didn't know that does damage. I thought it was just a mana drain. I don't remember it doing damage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Whoever's in the zone and casts an ability.
Got you. Okay. Yep. All right. Went against Belica earlier as Countess and got bodied. Oof. All right. There is a Facebook page run by AMedkit to my knowledge, but I don't know. I haven't been to it since 2020. Oh, see, I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, maybe this is one. I'm just assuming it's not. I could be wrong.
Belica used to be the quintessential hard counter to Countess back in the day too. But that was only because she can't recast back to her image or Shadow Slip
if she CC'd.
So Belica Countess literally can't do anything. If she engages, she dies.
I think
if she stays away, she loses farm.
And so that's why I'm actually saying like I'm feeling like a bit of a believer in Belica, because one, she just got like sweeping buffs. Items got buffed, scalings for mages got buffed, and Tank Countess is probably going to see less play and more Burst Countess is going to see play. So if Burst Countess is as good as I'm thinking she is, Belica may actually be like a decent option. So yeah, we'll see how it feels.
I can't wait. I'm a huge Belica fan.
Yeah, I do think she's a good counter for Countess there. And says Belica players drop the drone for free in Pred. Kind of silly. They don't know how to use it at all. I do think it's hilarious when I get a Belica support. They drop the drone. It's like giving me free 20 gold. Like, thank you. I'll just shoot that and poke that. Like, thank you for the 20 gold. You're paying me. I love it. So keep it up. So yeah, I agree with you. They are dropping it for free. Speaking of shooting it, with my boy Murdock has fallen off a bit recently when it comes to the later stages of the game. With the aforementioned S factor changes, we're giving him a bit more health to help him survive the onslaught. General health growth increased from 84 to 88. All right.
Dude, that first sentence blows my mind.
Fallen off a bit recently?
He's like, this is the one carry that has the most self-peel out of the other two. Three, I mean, sorry. He's got a immune to slows. He's got traps that root. He's got a knockback shotgun. I've never thought I would see that first sentence that Murdock has fallen off.
Well, I mean,
it's probably literally just pick percentage. Like I think he's actually just getting played the least. And I think that it is slightly due to like viability, but like the carries are so close in viability to me that like you can barely tell. And
I agree.
If you ask anybody, they're gonna give you a slightly different answer on who they think is the strongest and who they think is the worst. It's like so hard to get like an objective answer on that. So like maybe in pick wise he did fall off a little bit, and like the health growth changed. It seems so small that it's like hey, we're tossing him a bone for the sake of probably.
Mm-hmm. What do you think Bearded?
I think he I think he's great, just because he's my boy. He's always been my favorite, no matter what. To answer Crash's question, or what he was saying statement, I guess I would say that Revenant is the top one, just because of the way he has the ability ADC in a sense. He's able to do the damage with his basics. He's only got 4 basics, but that 4th one does some fucking damage. We'll get into that here shortly. But his abilities can sit there and just melt you. So I think him having the abilities that can do that much damage plus his basics, he puts him at the top. But when it comes to Murdock, I'm okay with this. Obviously, he's as an ADC main and as him being my favorite. I agree with Crashy though. I think it's just more of like hey, let's get him used more. Because I think with him and all of the other carries, he's the least flashy of them all, right? Drongo has got his rad rounds and all that. I mean, Murdock's ult is cool. Yeah, I'm not. You don't need to convince me of anything. I'm all about it, right?
It's pretty iconic.
So, but you know, his mines, Murdock's mines, they're almost like they're not big enough to make it like really zoning, right? You put them down and you hope that they go into it, but like they're pretty easy to miss. You can dodge them pretty easily, so that it's almost like having a pointless ability in a sense. Right, so I mean, it works here and there, but it's not like everybody else's. Huh? I mean, you can use it offensively, but it's not. Again, that's not every time you have a chance for it to be offensively. Like, it's not like every play I have. Like, all right, perfect time. We use every time. You know, there's certain times you can use it offensively, yes, but like it's not like it's a perfect thing. So like, but with his buckshot, you can land that every time. Like that's a guaranteed ability. Super annoying. Sparrow's speed, right? She, her boost spam, she's got it. And then his Murdock stim pack, right? Like, you get movement speed and you get health increase off of it. Like that's, like it's not really anything. Like he's pretty. If you look at his kit, it's not like as flashy and as cool as the other carries. So that's where he's at. But he's always gonna be my favorite, though. So I mean, I'm not worried about it. Okay. Muriel. A small mana buff for Muriel should help her out when she maxes her Consecrated Ground. This also helps support Muriel stay relevant. Consecrated Ground, her E mana cost decreased from 110, 100, 110, 120, 130, 142, 100, 105, 110, 150, 120.
This does nothing.
Exactly. I really feel like this is almost not as pointless as or less pointless than the health growth for Murdock. Like
this is what I'll say: buff her shielding and rework with the breach passive, and then maybe she can see the light of day. Because breach counters are way too hard, and it just feels like her shields are negligible even if they don't have breach. So I think she just needs like efficacy buffs, and then to not get counter built by a single item. So
also, I think her right mouse button, that move speed, I don't know. I just don't feel it.
Yeah, maybe buff that too. Yeah, we'll see. She's like, listen, it's whenever you have a hero that slips under the radar and like doesn't really get a ton of changes, you kind of look at that hero and you go like, okay, you're gonna see your time in the sun pretty soon.
That's exactly what
one of these patches, like you're gonna be on top. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
That's what it just said. Literally just said it. There's probably other changes coming down the line that affect Muriel. These kind of changes are probably setups. She's very good.
Yeah, there will be because there's going to be future support automation too.
Well, I think some of that support automation is going to come with that very beginning passage they said, and they're working on carry itemization. I think that really kind of comes with the support itemizations as well. I think that's a huge thing. Like if you could actually put some, especially because we're going to talk about some items here. One that gets changed drastically for the supports, that's gonna work as well. So yeah, Ammunition would help. Let her get a cleanse on a shield or R&B shields for nothing. Muriel and Narbash are actually cracked, but people just like the big dick Rick plays. I will pick a Riktor over anybody in any of these supports going into this.
That also does
hand over fist
remind me. I always try to remind myself this like out loud, like we do experience the game in like the mirror match meta, right? So like competitively, I'm not saying she's viable competitively, but like technically, like if one team banned Riktor and then the other team banned like Decker, you know what I mean? Like technically there is a world where like her viability is actually a little higher than it's perceived to be, because like eventually in like a ranked competitive setting, her viability is just naturally higher. So I always try not to be too critical on like character balance whenever I think about stuff like that too. Cause every game
I feel like even then
Riktor, but
I feel like even then the teams will set it up a way where it's Narbash versus Steel instead.
Yeah, I wasn't saying she's actually viable even in that scenario. I'm just saying like technically I think she, like most heroes, if not all heroes, are a little bit more viable than we perceive them to be, just because like it's really easy to just pick a role and say, hey, who's the best out of that? And then if you really wanted to, you could just play that hero all day long. Like if I wanted to jungle and just like, who's the best jungler? And I just pick Rampage all day long, I could technically do that. But realistically speaking, it's like, that's kind of like balance in a bubble as opposed to like looking at the bigger picture, I guess. So it's like, I'm not saying she's viable. I'm saying I think she's a little bit more viable than people think. But at the same time, it's because of the way that the game is played. You can pick Riktor every single game. There's nothing stopping you. So,
right. No, and I somewhat agree with what you're saying. I just don't think, and I know you're not saying that that's the way it should be. I just think that you shouldn't have to have two of your top supports be banned for your support for your other supports to be like, okay, now I'm viable. No, it's like now you're forced to be viable in a sense, right? Yeah. That is
she definitely needs love, and then I think love, getting her actually boosted in efficacy, plus like pairing her with something that makes like a nasty combination of a team comp. That's where it shines. Because like I've had a couple of like, yo, I'm steel ulting, ult me, right? And it's like, ooh, those plays are so nice where you steel slam on like three people and then Muriel flies in and knocks them up. Like, oh, dude, those engages are actually so fun.
Yeah, Muriel is really strong on like dive heavy team comps and playstyles.
Yeah,
like Kai, Steel, Gideon. Those are really good teammates. Good team synergy. I mean.
So, I'm going to need you to go watch the latest Creators Unite video, and our boy Pinzo went up against a Muriel mid lane. They didn't do bad. They went 2-2, the Muriel did, but they didn't also shut down Pinzo either. So, I really don't know if it's a good pick. Obviously, that's a very small sample size, but it's big enough for me. That's what she... Moving on. Narbash. Narbash has been a touch offbeat with his Song of My People ability, and it has generally felt tough to invest into. With these changes, we should feel more comfortable maxing out his healing, either first or second, as well as helping him sustain his stacks in the mid to late games when he can keep that ability rolling. And as a dad joke pun lover, I love the fact that they said offbeat with the Song of My People. Great job, keep it up. General. Base mana increased from 380 to 480. Mana growth decreased from 70 to 60. Base mana regeneration increased from 1 to 1.5. Song of My People, his E. Mana drain per second changed from 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 to 20 at all levels. And healing per second increased from 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 to 9, 13, 17, 21, 25. And beat drop stacks per second increased from 1 to 2. Thunk, his RMB mana cost increased from 50 to 60. All right. So this, I like this. I like the fact that they're making his healing feel like it's actually, like it's worth actually investing into. I remember with Fault, like it literally, people would literally, they would ignore his healing until you had to actually level it up.
That's what you were kind of doing on this past patch as well, because it just like until you got like a couple like items online, it like wasn't mana viable. These changes right here are very good. These are game changing changes for Narbash. I think he is absolutely a very strong support option now. And EU players would probably have called most of us NA players silly for not using him before. And it was the same thing. Like my support teammate Feppy had been kind of a Narbash believer, and he had been prepping for this patch playing it, and we were already kind of like, okay, I see how we're using him and having fun with him and like coordinating and stuff. And now with these changes, I have no idea how high his viability is, but I'm thinking it's pretty high. I'm thinking it's pretty solid.
Yep, I like it. I like it a lot.
Very excited for Narbash.
Yeah.
All righty.
Especially because a certain support item is gone. I'm serious.
I know. I could hear the butthurtness in your voice.
Is it butt hurt?
And the butthurt. All right, my other boy here, the Revenant. Based on feedback we've received from the community, we're increasing his rate of fire. We're also looking to increase the damage on his 4th shot, specifically against high health targets, to emphasize his trading pattern in lane and to make sure that his 4th hit feels much more impactful. His base power and obliterate damage have been reduced to compensate and make him more about poking with his 4th auto rather than just shoving. Alongside this comes quality of life changes to make obliterate better track your target to help avoid those pesky near misses. Speaking of obliterate, magical power scaling has been increased and has been added to Scar to better pair with enchanters that can build crystal tier to increase his damage. What this means is that magical power Revenant may now be a thing if you're feeling spicy. Shout out to Windu because they use the word spicy and he loves that word. And he can't be here to say that he loves it, so I gave that to him. All right, general. Base physical power decreased from 57 to 52. Base attack timer decreased from 1.1 to 1.01. Base attack timer reduction per level decreased from 0.018 to 0.014. How you even get that? That's crazy. Like that, I can notice it. That's crazy. All right, obliterate is Q. Base damage decreased from 60, 85, 110, 135, 162, 50, 70, 90, 110, 130. Scaling decreased from 50 to 40%. Consecutive missile modifier increased from 15% to 20%. Magical power scaling increased from 75% to 100%. Range increased from 1500 to 1750. Cone angle decreased from 60 to 55. Hellfire rounds is R&B. Base missing health damage decreased from 6% to 4%. Modified critical damage changed from 125, 135, 145, 155, 165, 175% to 140, 147, 154, 161, 168, 175%. All right, I prefer the 5s. Anyways, going on. Scar is E. Bonus magical damage decreased from 15% to 10%, and it added 80% magical power scaling. All right, he had a lot done to him.
Yeah, I can't. Okay, so all of the timing and attack speed, I can't feel it at all. I'm just going to be honest. I literally can't tell. I didn't play a ton of him, so maybe, someone a little bit more well-versed in Rev definitely does notice it. I played him full mage, and it feels really, really fun. I like it feels like it could be like, like mid-tier, like mid-lane viable to actually just have like this Q obliterate build. I literally have a clip of me like one-shotting. I ult a gadget, one-shotter with my EQ combo. I come out of the ult, I get a normal Q, not with the Scar on, a Grux, and then my cooldowns are short because I was building ability haste, and then I rip an EQ on him and then two-shot the Grux. So like I just ripped through people with Mage Revenant. So that's fun. I don't think that's the optimal way of playing him, but it's super, super fun. And yeah, these changes seem good. They do seem like quality changes.
Right. And I think this is more of those like just finding his spot, right? It's not a nerf, it's not a buff. It's that literally like fine tuning him. Because obviously he got nerfed on his power, his output power, but he, is
I'm gonna got this in here if you want to watch it.
But he got his so his Q does less damage, but his 4th shot does more damage. But then his cone is smaller, right? So it's easier, and it's also got longer for his Q, so it's easier to hit your target. Like it's like, hey, instead of hitting this minion that just somehow snuck into this cone, like I can actually hit where I want to hit. So let's see what we got here. Holy, a white screen. I don't know what. Oh, it's because you get some different thing that I don't know what I'm talking about here.
It's a streamable website. Double mana stacking into mage items, man. It
all right,
really fun. It was a lot of fun.
So resolution obviously becomes a bigger thing now. I mean, resolution, you could build resolution. I know Medkit loves resolutions a lot, so it becomes even more of a viable option now in that situation. All right, I'm happy with it. I can't wait to actually try it.
Yeah,
what was that?
I think this mid lane
rave used to be a thing too.
Oh yeah. All right, Riktor. We're bumping up Riktor's health just a smidge, to compensate for the S factor changes that are now giving him more health in the early game. General base health decreased from 560 to 540. Bumping down. I definitely read that as bumping up. I'm like, wait a minute, that's but yeah. So we're bumping down Riktor's health just a smidge.
I still really think he needs to lose a little bit of damage, but that's just me personally. But
I think they're afraid to do that because obviously that works in that support situation, but they want him to be viable in the other roles as well, you know, and bringing that down would just hurt that offlane situation.
It does, yeah. It's weird.
Sethrog. Seth is getting plenty of compensation in this patch due to Fire Blossom's nerfs. We're increasing his overall survivability and helping out his early siphon damage a little bit to make stacking and trading feel less punishing. General health growth increased from 92 to 102. Base physical armor increased from 28 to 31. Siphon, his Q, base damage increased from 25, 45, 65, 85, 105 to 30, 50, 70, 90, 110. Phantom Rush, his R&B, cooldown decreased from 24, 21, 18, 15, 12 to 20, 18, 16, 14, 12. All right.
A lot of buffs.
He feels very good right now.
He's going to be a strong offlaner.
He comes online a lot faster is the thing. And we already knew that an online Sevarog was strong. So
he becomes a Orb Prime.
Yeah. He was a mini prime and now he's an Orb Prime.
Now he's an Orb
Major Prime.
Yeah, I'm
Seva Prime.
Still assessing this one, but yeah, he's very strong. Very strong.
Sevarog Prime.
All right. Now the one we all been waiting for. Steel. Steel continues to be a menace due to his easy trading pattern and powerful Jack of all trades kit. We're knocking down his damage a bit and decreasing his potency when trading with Shield Bash to force him to commit a little bit more to get the value he desires. Shield Bash, his R&B, base damage decreased from 50, 80, 110, 140, 170 to 40, 70, 100, 130, 160. Stun duration decreased from 0.5 to 0.3 seconds. Range decreased from 325 to 300. His force shield, his E, base damage decreased from 60, 100, 140, 180, 220 to 30, 50, 70, 90, 110. All right. First of all, his shield does not need to do damage like that. All right. So I'm definitely okay with the damage being cut like that. Does not need to be. It's already enough that it doesn't slow. All right. Second of all, this guy still has 8 stuns in his kit. All right. I'm over exaggerating on purpose to prove a point. Okay. Holy shit.
7.
Oh yeah. Only has 7. Right. Oh my gosh. I still don't feel like this is enough. I haven't played the patch yet, but I still don't feel like this is enough.
I'm going to be honest. I was looking at, so keep in mind, I was looking at these nerfs on top of the fact that 2 of his core items are also have been nerfed. And I definitely was like, this might hit him really hard. And I even said, I was like, I'm a little worried about it. We'll see. I was worried that it might be an over nerf. I played him twice today. He feels fine. He's super strong. I'm obviously not doing all the damage alone, but the reality is they didn't touch his ult, which I'm not saying is a problem. I'm saying they didn't touch his ult. And so Steel is Steel. He's just a less assassin bursty version of Steel.
Yeah.
So that is, and I don't know if I hate it yet. Like maybe give me a week and maybe I'll say, yeah, I still think he needs a little bit nerfs, or maybe, it feels fine. I'm not sure yet, but I can say with confidence, I Fire Blossom jungled him today. It felt fine. Like he feels like Steel. I still feel.
that his kit needs to get reworked. He needs to at least lose one of his abilities that's not CC. Like, he needs to have ability, like, take one of them out like that. Like, let's give him something else that's not a CC ability. That just needs to happen. Like, that's just insane.
News. I told one of the devs to make his E a root, so
that's crazy because I asked them if they could make the passive stun. Like when you brush up against somebody, it just stuns a mini stun.
There you go. That would actually probably be a good idea. We should probably get that going. You might as well. I mean, it's the only thing in his kit that doesn't do that. So, shit. All right.
Actually, Steel's passive makes his wards stun you if you're in their area.
All right.
Rest in peace,
Phoenix. My boy Phoenix. Actually, shout out to him. Real quick. Due to community feedback, we're lowering down the time it takes for Phoenix to expire to better allow players to wait out the effect rather than feeling it like they have to force a kill. Rebirth location marker duration decreased from 6 seconds to 4 seconds.
I like
Thank
this.
the Lord. I have a quick poll for you. Do you think there's too many inability shields currently? Steel, Gadget, Riktor, Feng, Mao, Muriel. 3 passive shields.
I'm talking about passive, like shields in passives. Like Steel has the Steel has the shield in his passive. So does Gadget, Riktor. Mao has a.
I don't have a mod here to do that. Sorry, Int, but maybe next time. Or if Windu actually is in chat, he is a mod. He could do it. This I'm happy for this because I did feel that 6 seconds was too long. Like, you literally would see them pop it, but you're in the middle of a team fight, so it's like, all right, what do I do? Do I let them? Like,
kind of awkward.
It's like everybody else is still shooting at me right now, but I want to get rid of somebody, and this is the guy that's low. It's like, shit. Like, what do we do here? So I'm okay with this. I don't think it's like you say goodbye to Phoenix. Like, I think it's still viable. I think it still gives you that option.
Balance.
It's more of a skill. It's a skill timing now. You really have to time that. Like, all right, hey, I'm about to die. Like, drop it, because then they're gonna react to that.
Like a contrarian take to this, because for me, Phoenix is already like heavily fallen in viability, and now they nerf it, which I'm not upset about because I also felt like it lasted too long. I think it's gonna slowly become the warrior crest that like gets never picked, because it's kind of like, it's good when you're ahead, and if you're not ahead, then it's like not super good. And both the other warrior crests are super good, and so maybe it being a res is like, that's a pretty high value thing. Don't get me wrong, but I'm already kind of like not picking this at all anyway, so it just kind of like reinforced my choice to not do that, which I think it's okay. I think it's fine.
I've always thought Phoenix was a little overrated and Ice Core and Talons was a little underrated.
I'm a Brutalax fan lately. I like, it's all like
Brutalax is good too, yeah.
It's so good on bruisers, just to keep myself from getting like one-shotted in CC.
Windu, you are here and you're on mobile, so I don't know if you can do it. If you're not able to do it, no big deal. If you're able to make a poll and asking, do you think there's too many inability shields currently? Because you got Steel, Gadget, Riktor, Feng Mao, and Muriel. So yes or no if there's too many in-game shields. So, or in the ability kits. So, and John Krause, thank you for the first time chat. Welcome. I hardly see Phoenix in my games before this patch. Curious if anyone will be building it. Probably me if I ever get put into a role that I don't play ADC on. Although I do want to try an ADC. I've seen people do it on ADCs. I can see how it could be working, just kind of give the ADC a little extra life again. So I might try it one time. We'll see. Anyways, moving on. Brimstone. Fill it to the brim.
That's a big one.
Brimstone has been seeing abuse on more than just tanks. So we're bumping down its damage output whilst maintaining the jungle clear to ensure that tanks don't fall out of the role. General. Bug fix an issue that was causing Brimstone to draw tower aggro. I don't know how that's a bug fix. Why is that a bug? I guess is what I'm saying. Blaze passive. Base damage decreased from 20 to 12. Additional damage versus monsters increased 50% to 100%. Monsters. Is that all minions or is that just jungle minions?
It's just jungle. Monsters are jungle.
Yeah.
I think that really hurts the laner, like the tank laners. And I
don't think they were getting that benefit anyway. It's like they were just doing like normal damage. So it's like the item is like good for clearing jungle. But like,
I literally would build fire. Like if I build Riktor solo lane, I would Fire Blossom was like the first item I build into because it helps you with the wave clear. That on top of my E, like I can literally,
I'm saying it's unchanged because that like it read the same. It's just before it was 100%. Now it's
that base damage.
Before it was,
I literally lost almost half my base damage off of it. Like, what do you mean it's unchanged?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, you're technically right. Yeah, it's definitely gonna like slow down the push, but I think that's like I guess part of the point is like for the item to just not do too much in the way of like doing damage to the person you're fighting, but also like heavy pressure in lane while being a tank. It's like I had a friend explain it to me because I was kind of worried about this change. Like, I hope it doesn't crush the viability of tank jungles. It doesn't feel like it did. I still build it on jungle right now. And it feels solid.
Well, tank jungle, I think it buffed tank jungles in a sense, right? I mean, because you're actually getting 24 in a sense, right? You're getting 24 damage done instead of being 20. You're actually getting 4 more damage to jungle, right? So like, at least the way I'm reading it. But like, again, I think tanks in general, and not just jungle tank, like that's literally one rule. You could have multiple tanks. You could have a solo tank, and you could have a support tank, and you could have a jungle tank. And I'm not saying a support tank's going to take Brimstone, so they can. It's possible, right? But like, I just feel like this hurts a solo laner that's trying to get a little more damage on the waves, right? Like, especially like you go up against like a Grux or a Steel, their whole goal is to get you brought into them, right? So if you get pulled, like as a Riktor, like I get pulled into them, I'm doing damage. You brought yourself into the AoE that I'm doing damage to. I just feel like this kind of hurts that. We'll have to see. I mean, I literally have to play the game. I haven't played it yet since this patch dropped, so I don't know. But that's literally how I feel about it when I read that. I'm like, ooh, that hurts.
Yeah. I think it feels fine to me, but I also I kind of see the purpose in that, right? Like if you're like a bruiser, like say you're like Crunch Grux, it's like you should kind of be rewarded with like more lane pressure because you're not a tank, because you're not going to be able to scale into being tanky. So like it would be a little alarming if like tanks had the same kind of presence in lane that a bruiser could have. But it just from like my games today too, it did feel. I think it feels fine. So hopefully you find that to be true. Yeah.
All right. Malady has also seen abuse outside of its intended class, so we're decreasing the scaling to help prevent exploitation from carries and bruisers, as well as to stop Kallari's first item spike being too egregious. General Demise scaling decreased from 30% to 10%. Thank you for nerfing Kallari again. AMedkit, you guys are awesome. I love it. Keep it up. Nightfall. General, bug fix an issue where the Eclipse passive was granting 10% Omnivamp rather than 5% Omnivamp. That's aggressive. All right. Mage itemization is getting a big shift to allow mages to access more magical power in the later stages of the game without affecting their power in the early game. Some of the early game items like Azure Core have had their scalings increased for this purpose. All right. Astral Catalyst General magic power increased from 50 to 60, mana decreased from 350 to 300. As a core, Arcane Mage passive scaling increased from 3% of maximum mana to 4% of maximum mana. Combustion Pyro passive base damage decreased from 80 to 70. Scaling increased from 10% to 18%. Dreambinder. We're shifting Dreambinder to give it more offensive applications rather than defensive ones, to make it more viable on mages and not just magical power bruisers. General. Cost increased from 2,900 to 3,000. Magical power increased from 60 to 80. Health decreased from 350 to 250. Build path changes from Scepter plus Tenacious Drape plus Codex to Scepter plus Tenacious Drape plus Scepter. All right. Golem's Gift. Wouldn't it be a ring?
Golems.
Golem's Gift. Oh, yeah, right.
Golem.
General, Magic power increased from 60 to 70. Magnify general magical power increased from 50 to 60. And Oathkeeper general magical power increased from 60 to 70. Health decreased from 250 to 200. Celestial Spellblade, the passive magical power scaling is increased from 40% to 50%. Oblivion Crown general bug fixed. Oblivion visual effects now correctly displays on the target. Spellbreaker general magical power increased from 55 to 60. Hated Scepter general magical power increased from 65 to 70. Time Warp, we don't need to go over that. We'll just go to the next one. Just kidding. Time Warp has been reworked due to its problematic nature, pushing this to more of a late game tech option due to a higher stat line. We understand that this will be less viable on supports as a result, and we will be looking to improve support itemizations in a future balance pass. General cost 3,300 gold, 100 magical power, 15 physical armor, 15 ability haste. Ferromancer, I believe that's how you say it. Casting an ability grants 6 magical power and 3 physical armor for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Chime every 5 seconds. Subtract 0.5 seconds from all current ability cooldowns. Builds from Abyssal Bracers and Chaotic Horror. All right, let me switch over to Cam before you start talking. Let's give you your floorboard. All right, here you go.
So, I look right now. I like the new Time Warp. I like the ability. They turned it into a mage item.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I had was that as a support player, right? At least most recently, when I play Decker and Riktor, I always build Time Warp like second item. I always go Hexbound first because they give you mana components. Time Warp doesn't give you mana components; it's mana regen. I go with the mana components because that's like an extra spell pretty much. The mana regen would have taken too long for you to regenerate that much just to cast a spell, but that's besides the point. The problem I have is that supports barely, their itemization is slow. I think we can all agree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to junglers, compared to mid lane, carry, off lane, because they're not there to like extract gold from the map for them to build items. Like they build these items slow. So oftentimes support players have like maybe two core items, maybe 3, sometimes 3, right? And for me, Time Warp is one of those 2, Hexbound and Time Warp. So my biggest problem with this change, I like that it's a strong mage item now. My biggest problem is that support players lost a core support item and got nothing in return. At least not yet. And Import told me on Twitter that there will be more support items to help alleviate the loss of Time Warp. So in my mind, I'm thinking maybe like a group cleanse, like Purity Sensor. That was like my main thing why I didn't like the Time Warp changes, because like I would have been fine if Time Warp was moved to the mage item as long as like there was an item in return. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it would be more like a trade, not like a loss for supports, who, by the way, don't have that many. Like there are options, but as a support, you don't make that much gold anyway.
Yeah, so like support items are usually cheaper as well.
Yeah, they're also cheaper, but like that's my main thing is that
So I'm gonna play secondhand devil's advocate, and I say secondhand because my support player Feppy, who's actually usually in chat, I'm surprised he's not around. He's probably busy doing something.
He's Feppy. Come on.
He literally told me, and I'm not, I swear I wouldn't bring this up if it didn't come directly from his mouth. He literally told me that any support last patch that was building Time Warp was trolling. So like my devil's advocate is like strictly comes from the fact that like he would never build it, and he was like, "Oh, I don't care about that item. Like, it's fine." So it's like, I guess, like on that perspective, like, yes, I think that it would have been nice for them to bring in like a support item to replace it regardless, because it was like listed as a support item. Also, did they change that? Is it still listed as a support item in game, or is it like listed as
I haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, that's super weird, because it's definitely a mage item. It's definitely a mage item. But yeah, no, I like I said, just for the sake of saying, my devil's advocate comes from the fact that like I know he would never build it on any of the supports, but yeah, interesting thought. But I definitely agree with you. I'm excited to inevitably see like rolling itemization changes and like changes for support items.
Yeah. So
Axel's always here for the king, so I don't know where Feppy's at.
The reason I go Hexbound and Timewarp, especially on say Decker and Riktor, is because they kind of live and die by their abilities. You kind of need to like items that allow you to have those kind of cooldowns. You need to like throughout the match. As a support, you need to be able to throw out those spells more frequently than the other support. Like, you're not there to build damage. You're not there to like build like. It's all about the spells. So you have to like cast them in order to create plays for your ADC and your team. Like, and I said this in my video. One of the worst like interactions as a support player is when some fight happens and then someone asks you like, "Hey Decker, where was your, I don't know, cage or stun ball or whatever?" And you go, "Oh, it was on cooldown." That's why I build around cooldown.
Yeah.
And I don't think time warp on supports is troll. Especially like it's viable. It used to be viable on Decker and Riktor and even Muriel. Narbash, in my opinion, not really. And like I said in my video, I played this game a lot. Like, I have almost 1,000 hours in the game, and most of them was playing support, jungle, and offlane. Like, those are my best roles. And I tried many different ways, and Time Warp was just my favorite item for sports. And like, I like the new Time Warp. Don't get me wrong. I like the patch and all. I'm just saying it would have been nice if like there was some compensation, I guess.
Yeah, an equal trade-off for sure.
Yeah, that's my biggest gripe.
Yeah, I feel that just from the sake of like, I know if they would have yoinked like a
Mutilator, like for example,
yeah, if they would have
you lost Mutilator, how would you feel?
Well, to be fair,
you have options at least.
To be fair, you're right.
You're a jungler.
Literally.
You're there. You're getting gold and XP and kills. Like you have options.
I hate
supports.
Mutilator is because Sky Splitter's so OP. So I kind of feel you, because I feel like I'm being forced to build a carry item and I don't want to.
Bearded. Like what if you lost like if you lost Sky Splitter?
I'm okay with it.
It would sting, but at least you have other options, and you're there to. Yeah. That literally your job is to like get.
I again now let's play Paragon Overprime and take an item away from me, then I'm gonna be hurting, right? That's but yeah. I here in Predecessor an ADC take an item away, I'm not hurting. There is not an item that you take away from me that I'm like, okay, well now what do I do? And there's not an item. I'm not gonna feel that way. So.
No, I do. I get the sentiment for sure, though.
I understand it. I completely understand it.
Loss in terms of support itemization for sure. I mean, it just is like 1-to-1.
I don't know if Axel's making fun of me or if he just misspelled bearded and put breaded. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if you're being a troll there, Axel, or if you just made a mistake. So breaded. I'm gonna take it as a mistake, and I thank you for calling me one of the great ones, and I appreciate the respect. I will say that Time Warp is always viable on the Rocky Horror Picture Film. On that note. World Breaker. General bug fix an issue where the Fiend passive would stack up to 5 times instead of 4. Tank. Dynamo. This is another one that Crashy was complaining about. So those of you that hated Dynamo getting nerfed here, talk to the boy Crashy, all right? A small damage decrease to one of Steel's favorite items, Immobilizer. The passive, Galleon decrease from 5% to 4%. Is that enough, Crashy?
Time will tell. I mean, it's still good. Like, I'm still going to be building it. So I definitely think that, like, this is just the, like, scaling decrease for the Immobilizer passive. It still has its other passive. It still brings a lot of health and armor. Like, it's a solid item. That's actually how I feel a lot about this patch. Like, the things that they nerfed, it doesn't feel like anything's gutted.
Right.
And that's great because you never want them to gut something. You don't, that's not what you want. You know what I mean?
Right. No.
So yeah, it feels good.
Perfect. Fire Blossom. We're making similar changes to Fire Blossom as we did to Brimstone, obviously, because it's built into the path. We're also blocking Brimstone from being bought in conjunction with Fire Blossom to avoid abuse cases. General. Now blocks Brimstone from being bought whilst owned. Blaze, passive. Base damage decreased from 25 to 15. Additional damage versus immobilized targets increased from 50% to 100%. So if you stun a target or if you pull a target with Riktor, then it's going to give them 100%.
Yeah, it's like burst damage. Yeah.
Okay.
So the way that they wrote this, the first thing I did, the literal first thing I did today was went in the practice mode and didn't try to buy Fire Blossom and Brimstone. The first thing I did was try to buy 2 Brimstones to see if it was an oversight. Because, like, they listed now blocks Brimstone from being bought whilst owned, but they didn't write that for Brimstone. So I was like, what if you could just buy 2 Brimstones and then upgrade one of them?
Oh,
it doesn't work. Okay. But I did try it. I was like, I will break this if it's explainable. so I did try it, but you can't do it.
I want to shout out for the minions again because they brought up a great thing. This needs to be written in the game that, like, when you buy Fire Blossom, just for the people who don't understand, who aren't going to read this patch, right? The new players that are coming in the when it goes free to play or whatever, or the full release, right? Those new players that come in and they go to buy, the Brimstone again, or they try to whatever, that needs to be explained in it. Like when this item is bought, does not stack with this item or whatever. Like that needs to be explained and not just the fact that it blocks it. If you just literally, if it's just blocked and you don't understand why you're not buying it. We had this issue on Fault. You had your Thorn, and it was on the Thorn one. There was one item that you basically did AoE damage, right? And then you had a jungle item that did the same thing. And if you bought one or you couldn't buy them both. So, but it doesn't explain that. And we'd had new people like, hey, I can't buy my jungle item, and it's because you have X amount of item. I can't remember what item it is. So as long as that does say that, then I'm okay with it. And if it doesn't say that, that needs to say that for the new people coming in. Double Brimstone was bad anyway. You can't change my mind. I'm not going to try to change your mind. Well,
it also, like whether it was good or not, it was.
We're not sitting here. I'm using examples of why things need to get better. You're just sitting here trashing on Fault for no reason. There's no reason to trash on Fault. All right, Fault's gone. It's gone. But I want to use examples of things that need to be worked on. Jeez almighty.
The raiment change we got coming up, just because I can see it at the bottom of the screen.
Yes.
I'm like happy with it, but I'm also sad because it was like a core item for Chimera for me.
Raiment of Renewal. This is way to reduce the potency of burst healing heroes like Countess. Raiment now works better with sustained healing and will be better utilized on tanks. General, haste decreased, either way, from 15 to 10. Regenerator, passive healing from damage taken increased from 10% to 15%. Synthesis reworked from increase all healing received by 50% to gain health regeneration equal to 1% of your bonus health. Reworked from, okay, what is it to?
It heals for equal to 1% of your bonus health, but it was just increased healing by 15%. So now you gain health regen equal to 1% of your bonus health, but you used to just increase your healing. So I would build this on Chimera and I would just run at people and heal the shit out of myself. And now it just doesn't do that anymore because now it just gives you health regen. So it's like, this is a really good, like Severog, like rampage item, but like not so great on bruisers now. Because you used to just kind of like run at people
Right.
and heal the shit out of yourself, and now you can't really do that anymore.
And I get that it's more of the sustained healing. I'm just like maybe I'm just not understanding it, but like the word, since this reworked from, and then you read that, and then it should be to
Yeah, it says 2, so it's from increased healing received by 15% to gained health regeneration equal to 1% of your bonus health.
Sorry, that
Yeah,
little
so it's
the semi that's a colon, right? Or is that a semicolon? The 2. Either way, that thing right there threw me off. I was waiting for the next one. Like it's like when you get a Christmas gift. It says to brackets name from brackets or whatever that brackets. That's what I'm saying. I was looking for. I'm like, I don't see the other.
Yeah.
You know.
So
how it broke down.
It used to be pretty nice on bruisers. Now I don't really think I'll buy this on bruisers anymore, because it is a lot of like, hey, you're still going to get good healing on it, but you're not going to get a lot of that burst healing, and that for bruisers was really nice. Whereas now I don't think it's necessary to like rely on health regen for healing. That's more of a tank thing, less of a bruiser thing.
All right.
So I think it makes me sad, because this was my 3rd slot item on Chimera every game, and now it's not. But it's a good change. It is. I can acknowledge that.
Power changes. All right. While you are there to protect your towers, we wanted them to pack a little bit more of a punch themselves. We're upping the base and max damage for all 3 turrets, while slightly adjusting their damage per level scaling. Keep an eye on those tower diving interactions, and we'd love to hear feedback. All right. And so base damage increased, damage per level decreased, and damage cap increased on outer, inner, and inhibitor. All right. I'm not going to.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a bunch of numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do have to go, son.
All good.
What's up, man? Have a good one.
Just so real quick,
me switch over
to the community. Try Timewarp on mages, and message to the devs. Give me purity sensor. I'll be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That's about it.
Later.
All right,
bud.
everyone.
Have a good one, man.
Thanks for hanging out.
No problem.
Yeah. So my thoughts. Overall patch. Like I think it's.
We're not done, dude. We're not done.
Oh. Ooh. What do we have? The bug fixes.
We got bug fixes.
bug
all right.
fixes.
We're gonna stomp some bugs. All right. Squish them. All right. Fix a bug that caused the game to continue running even after closure. Let's just go over these one by one real quick. All right. We're going to switch over to Cam again. I'm not going to put the screen up. I can read these ones. You guys just can trust my reading. All right. So for now, we're just going to stay on Cam's. All right. We know that with this bug, right at the same time, this bug, there's Reddit posts, there's people talking in Discords, there's people talking in streams, that this bug is the reason that we saw an increase in player base. Okay. Now, what I said, Crashy, when that happened is if it was a bug that was causing the game to stay open, you would see more of a plateau with the increase, right? Because the game's open, it's not closing, right? So there should be no really sudden decreases, right?
Yeah.
But we were still seeing that same normal peak that we were getting even before it happened, right? You get like a little, it goes up with the peak. You know what? I got it right here. Okay, so it literally, you got the lowest time it's got, then it goes up, it peaks up a little bit, it comes down just a little bit, and then it goes back up, and it comes down, and it does this every time. This is very consistent, right? Now, obviously, how low it goes is little not as, it changes, it varies, but that peak is very consistent all the way across. But then you have, here's our patch, and we drop down. So the question is that because of the patch, because it fixed the issue, or is there another reason? What do you think, Rashi? Before I give my reasoning.
Yeah, so even just kind of reading what Inth is saying in chat, I think we've already started to see like the normalization of numbers kind of go back to what we were used to seeing. So it's hard to say exactly how that could have been playing in, and we never really got 100% confirmation. But I do think that like around the release, we probably saw like a natural spike in players. Around the Revenant release, we probably saw a natural spike in players, and that definitely like carried quite a bit. But we are seeing those numbers kind of come down a little bit. It feels correlated to the most recent patch. So I think that like maybe I don't know, because like it's hard to assume like the player's behavior, like, or like human behavior too, because like if people were turning off their computers, then it was closing their client. But if you're like me and you leave your computer on for 3 weeks straight, it's going to leave that client running in the background. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say exactly, but I feel like we're seeing much more normalized numbers.
Okay.
I don't think I don't think it's like indicative of anything bad. Like I don't take these like player numbers.
No, and I'm not. Yeah, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not basing anything really off of this, but and hear me out. And I think if it was a bug, we're going to see more of a plateau. We're not going to see the peaks and valleys, right? We still see the peaks and valleys. They're still there. Now, not only did the patch drop today, what else happened today? You as a gamer, I'm asking you, what else happened today?
Oh, I feel like there's an obvious answer and I can't think of what you're leading me to.
All right, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Hogwarts Legacy came out today.
True, that is true.
Literally, I look at my followers on Twitch, and everybody that I know plays Predecessor, besides CM Stark right now, is playing Hogwarts Legacy.
I'll give you that. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
So, I'm wondering how much of that drop is from Hogwarts Legacy, or if it's from the actual people. I mean, that's just streamers, right? There's actual gamers too, but I'm assuming those actual gamers are playing Hogwarts. Some of them, there's people still playing Predecessor. It's not like nobody's playing Predecessor, but like I think until the newness of Hogwarts Legacy wears off, I think those numbers, like, we have to wait to see if it's truly the bug that was causing the issue, or what else we got going on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And even then, we're getting farther away from the Revenant patch, right? So the newness is kind of wearing off of the Revenant patch. So the real true test is going to be when they drop Shinbi, and we see where that 24-hour peak's at with Shinbi, right? And
because that'll be like bug-free mixed with a release. So it's like we'll get like what should be a pretty solid look at like what the interest is. Yeah.
I just think it's just ironic that this is the patch drops the same day the Hogwarts Legacy drops. And that's literally where, like, I look at my Twitch. If I go back, I'm not going to name everybody off that plays, but I mean, I know there's a bunch of people that are just like, oh yeah, bam, 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 bam. They're all playing Hogwarts Legacy. And it was literally, I was having this discussion with, Medkit before we went live, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, man, almost everybody that I know, like my whole follower list, I had one person that was playing Predecessor in my whole follower list. I was like, holy cow, like that's crazy. And I think that's something to do with that for sure. That is the wildest speculation ever, but I guess we can wait it out a bit longer. Hogwarts Legacy stealing all the players. I don't, why is that the wildest speculation?
Like the wildest. I mean,
I literally feel like there's like I feel like there's like, it literally like fits perfect. Like I don't understand how it's wild. I don't think I'm reaching at all. But I mean, I guess Fox, each their own. To each their own. So all right, back on to the next one. Fixed improper aura stacking. I don't know what was going on there. Oh wait, here it goes. Offensive auras should only apply once to enemies. Allied auras should apply those of the owner and one more. Okay. Wait. There's not gonna you can't get any auras that are gonna be like. So what about hold up? What about fuck. Narbash. Narbash is healing. That's an aura, isn't it? It's only gonna heal one other person?
I think it's item auras. That'd be my assumption.
Okay. But am I wrong with that? Like Narbash's healing is an aura, right?
Yeah, I would say it's a healing aura, but I'm not. I
don't come on me in. I have a.
Yeah, healing. It's definitely a healing.
This does not state it. Don't come on me. If I have the question, there's other people in the communities that have the same question. All right, it should state item auras. It doesn't state that at all. So that needs to be stated. The reason if I can ask it, somebody else is going to ask it. Legacy in-game and menu description should now correctly state 40 physical power and 10 ability haste instead of 30 physical power and 20 ability haste. Okay.
Yeah, they have a habit of buffing or like changing items and then forgetting to change the text. or I say forgetting, it's probably a bug. That's probably a bit more genuine to the work they do, but it feels like a forgotten thing.
Yeah, to us outsiders not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
It just didn't cross properly. It's the same thing as like when we get if you get a patch or whatever, sometimes you got to do the verify files, whatever, because it just didn't cross over correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Wellspring in-game description now correctly states a 20-second cooldown instead of a 15-second cooldown. All right, nice. Fix an issue where players could not buy Azakor after buying Vanquisher. I did notice people were talking about you could buy Vanquisher then Azakor, but you couldn't buy Azakor after buying Vanquisher. Or whatever, however that works.
I ran into that in one of my videos. I was so confused. I was like, oh, I guess you can't buy this. I was like, all right.
All right.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right. That's all this week. That's all this week. Let us know what you think of these changes over on Twitter, the official subreddit, or our Discord server. So I like it. It was a good hefty patch, and I'm excited to see how it actually feels. Can't wait to get into it. So Thursday I'll be gaming for sure.
Yeah, both in like on paper and in feel. For me, I think this patch is overwhelmingly positive. There's always going to be little outliers. Like I wish Muriel would have got touched a little bit more. There's definitely something else I feel like I'm missing too. There's like a couple heroes like I wish would have gotten a little bit more love, whether it be nerfs or buffs. But it overall feels like even the direction, the explanation of where they're trying to take things and what they're doing with it feels solid, feels like reasonable. And I think this was a big W of a patch.
Yeah, I agree. Big W. I like how thick it was. Like there was a lot in there. It wasn't just like, hey, we're just gonna a couple tweaks here and there, whatever. Here's your balance patch. And I do feel like that's gonna happen down the line. We're gonna get a balance patch that just like really is like, hey, we're kind of happy with where we're at with the current meta we have. There isn't like anybody drastically overpowered or whatever, or there isn't somebody drastically like just underpowered. We're gonna get to that point, but right now, since it's early in the game, early in its early access, seeing these girthy balance patches is great. And it leading up to the next one's going to be an actual content patch. We're going to get Shinbi with it. I know it's supposed to be 2 weeks, but I think we should get around the 14th just because it makes sense. Valentine's, I think one of her emotes is a heart. Like it just it works perfect. Not saying there's emotes in the game yet, but it just kind of leads to that. So
looking forward to it, man.
Paragon, we're actually like that as well. They'd say in preparation for future changes, we're boosting X for Y just to tide them over till Z happens. Yeah, because like I always tell people this, like the devs see things change like in small increments, and we see like bulk changes. So it's like I remember in the past, like I was trying to explain to like a friend, I was like, dude, there's some things that we're like, well, why did they do this? Like, or why haven't they done this? And it's like, because we don't see what they see sometimes. Right. Like, they're like, we're about to hit y'all with this. Yep.
So we need to prep for this because we dump this on you and we don't set this other stuff up, or if we don't get it ready for this, it's going to break some shit. And so it's always like really funny when you think about it that way. You're like, oh yeah, they do work like probably 5 days out of the week, 5 days out of the 7. They're probably in there programming and changing things all the time. We just don't always see it. So interesting.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. Like they're like, they're playing chess while we're playing. They're playing chess while we're playing checkers, right? They're like multi moves ahead. We're like looking at this like just like, hey, well, this is easy, quick. Let's just do this one. So yeah, 100%. I agree with that. But alrighty. GG, thank you. So on that note, let's call it there. Crashy, let everybody know what you got going on this week, and where they can find you and what you got going on. I think you just posted a video.
Oh yeah,
recently, didn't you? There was one. I posted
a couple today. I did.
There you go.
I played a real fast game testing out some Feng Mao. I still want to give him some time because I don't quite think his viability has risen that much, but I do think he's more niched into the assassin role, so I'm gonna give some love to him. And then I played full Mage Revenant, which is, dude, it's fun. It's just fun. Like, take Revenant in mid, build a bunch of magic damage items on him, and just have a blast with him, because it's different and it's fun. Otherwise, I've been streaming a lot on both Twitch and YouTube. That's a new thing for me. I'm just dual streaming both of them and making videos on YouTube and getting ready for future tournaments. So this patch, big one for me. I'm just grinding out a bunch of games, trying to figure out what I think about jungle. If I want to change my itemization, I had to change up my Chimera build. I'm looking at, tank itemization changes potentially. And we have the Agora Reawakened. Well, I actually don't know if it's called that. Agora Tournament Series. Sorry. They're having their open tournament on the 19th. You can sign up with them, find them on Reddit or find them on Twitter. Just look it up. You can probably find them. And I'll be watching that tournament because it's like an open style round robin tournament.
Okay.
So because my team is in the finals for the 4 teams that qualified already. So I'll be watching that tournament, which will be fun because I'll get to kind of like, keep my eyes on all the teams in the competition. Right. And then the finals for that will be on the 25th. So giving a little bit of love to them. Big shout outs to the Agora, people. They're working hard building this whole tournament series and putting a lot of work into it. So that's kind of the big NA series that's been going on right now. So looking forward to that.
Nice. All right. As for myself, I do have a attack speed Murdock video that's gonna be dropping on Friday. Had fun with that last night. That was a good time. Shout out to Windu. He posted a attack speed Sparrow video. I'm like, let's try it on Murdock, see what it's like, and it did pretty well. I enjoyed it. Had a good time. So let's drop it on Friday on my YouTube. Real quick, you said that you're streaming both on Twitch and YouTube, which is different. What are you normally a streamer for? Usually
YouTube.
Usually on YouTube. Okay.
I swapped over to YouTube like probably almost 3 years ago, and ever since they made that, they made a change. Twitch made a change where it's like, if you're partnered or affiliated, you can stream on both. Because it used to be like contract blocked.
Right.
I had been considering doing like restreaming and stuff, but the reason why I didn't do it is because I wasn't used to like the combined chat that like a platform like a Restream gives you, and I didn't like the way that it looked. So it's like I just started doing it, and I was like, I'll get used to the way that the chat looks, right? Like it's just, I'm used to YouTube chat. Someone like you is probably used to Twitch chat. You get a whole different web page chat. You kind of gotta you got to get your mind with it. So
I hate going into a YouTube streamer's live stream. Like I feel like off. Like it feels so weird to me. Like I'm like, chat looks weird. I'm like, oh, this is annoying. Like this dashboard's trash. Get it out of here.
I definitely get it. It's funny. I really do like YouTube as a streaming platform, but they still have lots of work to do for sure.
They do. They do have lots of work to do.
I'm on both.
There you go. Attack speed working. I carry. Who knew? Don't do it on fucking Revenant, Mr. Smartass. Int. Jeez almighty. Gosh.
Real quick.
All right. But as for myself, Mondays, game streams, Tuesdays, live here doing the Predcast, and Thursdays, game streams as well. Talk to the wife, and there's a good chance, since I just bought her a vehicle, that I might be able to get an extra streaming day in there just to kind of help put money towards that vehicle. So we might be doing 4 stream days instead. So we'll get into that. And hey, it's still an ADC, all right? Still a carry. There's no exceptions. There's no rules. I'm just saying you were wrong with your kappa. So get out of here, smart ass. All right. But other than that, I hope you all enjoy. And if you're watching this live, drop a GG in the chat. If you're watching this on the YouTube, drop a GG in the comment section. Appreciate you all. Let us know what you think, how we did. This one was a little bit different because we couldn't have Windu with us, and our boy AMedkit had to bounce a little bit early. No big deal. Still love that he was here. And I'm hoping next week we get a little guest host for you guys. But other than that, I'll switch over to the ending stream. Come to the raid, all right? And it's not going to be a Hogwarts Legacy guy, all right? Hope you all have a good one. Peace.
Peace out.